So, imagine you sit down and you write the greatest, most accurate, most beautifully structured answer to a problem in human history.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Right. So you publish it, you wait for the world to find it, and then an artificial intelligence platform simply ignores it completely, just totally bypasses it because your website doesn't have any friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is the harsh, often really frustrating reality of the modern internet.
It's wild.
It really is. You can have the absolute best answer, but, if you don't have the digital infrastructure validating that answer, the machine simply doesn't care. It just moves on.
Which is exactly why we're doing this today.
Yeah.
Because, well, we are living through a massive shift right now.
Oh, absolutely. A complete paradigm shift.
Yeah, and think about it. When you're trying to figure something out today, you don't just type a fragmented string of keywords into a search bar and scroll through a page of blue links anymore.
Right. Nobody has the patience for that now.
Yeah, exactly. You ask ChatGPT or Perplexity or Grok, or you just rely on a Google AI overview. These platforms are bypassing the old journey entirely and just handing you the answer directly.
Which is great for the user, but
But naturally, anyone who manages a digital presence is having a full-blown existential crisis over it.
oh, totally. Panic across the board.
Right, because for decades, traditional backlinks were the undisputed currency of the web. It's just what you did. But now people are asking, do they even matter when an AI is the one doing the talking?
And honestly, it is arguably the most important question for any business or creator or researcher who is just trying to survive online today.
So what's the verdict?
Well, the short answer is yes, they absolutely still matter. But, and this is a big, but the mechanism behind why they matter has fundamentally changed from, what we all learned 5 or 10 years ago.
Which brings us perfectly to the core of today's deep dive. We are looking at this really fantastic SEO guide from April 2026.
Oh, the Smart Target Digital one?
Yes, exactly. It was written by Alexander Robinson III over at Smart Target Digital, and it's titled How Backlinks Help AI Find Answers.
It's a really solid breakdown.
It is. So instead of just treating the title as gospel, we're going to use his framework to sort of unpack the great misconception about AI and SEO.
Right, because there's a lot of bad advice floating around right now.
So much bad advice. So our mission today is to break down exactly how backlinks have evolved, from being a direct point-based grading system into more of an indirect engine.
An engine of trust, really.
Yes, an indirect engine that dictates what AI platforms learn, what they ultimately trust, and what they decide to surface to you as the definitive truth.
And to really understand that shift, moving from a direct ranking factor to this indirect engine of trust, we basically have to dismantle completely everything we thought we knew about search engine optimization.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to really grasp the new era, we have to start by tearing down a very specific myth.
The biggest myth of them all, honestly.
Right. We need to look at what an AI is actually doing when you hit the enter key.
So the foundational rule of this entirely new landscape is that an AI does not count your backlinks when it is generating an answer for a user.
It just doesn't.
It simply doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And an AI system isn't sitting there crawling your site's link profile in real time. It's not tallying up who linked to you that morning.
Or calculating some arbitrary domain authority score to rank pages 1 through 10.
Exactly. It's not a live scoreboard. It is generating text based on probabilities and patterns that it learned during its training phase.
Okay, so let me play devil's advocate here, because I know for a fact a lot of people listening are having this exact thought right now.
Go for it.
If the AI is literally ignoring my backlink profile during a query, right, and it's not scoring my domain authority to decide if I'm the best answer, shouldn't I just stop wasting my money and time on outreach?
I hear this argument all the time.
It feels like spending months studying for a final exam, outlining everything perfectly, and then you get to class and the teacher stands up and says, by the way, I'm actually not grading any of your study notes.
Right, so why bother taking the note?
Exactly. Why wouldn't I just put all my energy into writing the absolute best possible content on my site and just let the chips fall where they may?
Well, because if you don't submit those study notes, the teacher doesn't even know you're enrolled in the class.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, the flaw in that logic is misunderstanding how the AI actually gets the information it uses to train those probability patterns in the first place.
Right, because it has to learn from somewhere.
Exactly. What's fascinating here is that while traditional SEO used links to directly push a single page up a ranked list, modern AI-driven search, what people are increasingly calling AEO, or AI engine optimization.
Yeah.
It uses those links to build recognition across the entire digital ecosystem.
So the backlinks aren't the grade itself. They are like the distribution network that ensures the teacher actually receives your paper. Without them, your brilliantly written content is essentially quarantined, right? It's
Mhm.
completely invisible to the AI's training process.
That captures the dynamic perfectly. An AI doesn't rely on a live scoreboard of links. It relies on learned knowledge patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And to build those patterns, it constantly looks for repeated information across sources it already knows it can trust. The backlinks are the literal pathways that inject your content into those trusted sources.
Okay, that makes intuitive sense. But if backlinks are just the distribution network, I really want to understand how a human reading my article translates into a machine actually believing it.
Right, the mechanics of it.
Yeah, because if the influence is indirect, there has to be some sort of mechanical chain reaction happening behind the scenes.
There is, and the chain reaction actually begins in a very familiar place, which is general search visibility.
Wait, so like old school Google?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Traditional search engines haven't vanished. A strong backlink profile still completely dictates where you land on a standard Google results page.
Okay, so the old ecosystem is basically feeding the new ecosystem.
Yes, exactly.
You rank higher on a traditional search, you get more human eyeballs, and those humans are the ones doing the actual distribution.
They are the catalyst for the whole process. Think
Yeah.
about it when you sit at the top of a traditional search page. You just naturally get wider exposure. You
Yeah.
get organic, manual citations from other writers, journalists, or, researchers who are just using Google to source their own work.
They find your page, they link to your concept in their own writing.
And suddenly your single idea is living on a dozen different highly visible domains.
Okay, I see where this is going.
Because AI systems are constantly scraping and learning from the information that is the most visible and widely referenced across the broader web, this initial boost is non-negotiable. It's step one.
So that increased exposure makes it exponentially more likely that your content is actually absorbed into the AI's knowledge base.
Exactly.
Which actually brings up a phrase from Alexander Robinson's guide that really stuck out to me. He calls it content redundancy.
Yes, a huge concept.
Right, and usually in any creative or professional field, redundancy is a terrible thing. You don't want to be redundant. But here, the guide frames it as the ultimate goal.
It really is.
When you earn a backlink, your ideas start to spread, they pop up in an industry guide, then maybe a news article mentions them, and then they make their way into like a Friday newsletter roundup.
I'll actually take that a step further. Content redundancy isn't just a goal. It is the fundamental mechanism AI uses to separate fact from fiction.
It's like hearing a juicy piece of gossip, isn't it?
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Like you hear a rumor from a coworker by the coffee machine and you're skeptical. It's an isolated claim.
Right, it's just one person saying it.
But then you go to the gym after work and a completely unrelated friend from a totally different social circle tells you the exact same story.
Okay, now you're listening.
And then your mom calls you that night and mentions the exact same rumor. Suddenly your brain treats it as an undeniable objective fact.
Because what are the mathematical odds that all these different isolated networks are saying the exact same thing independently?
Exactly.
That analogy highlights exactly how a large language model processes the concept of truth. AI systems view widespread repetition across different unrelated domains as a highly powerful signal of reliability.
Okay, that is fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, if your idea exists in a vacuum on one single website, the AI views it as an outlier. It might be true, but mathematically, it's risky for the AI to repeat it to a user.
But if your idea creates that content redundancy across the web,
Then the AI sees a verified pattern. It trusts it.
the algorithm basically finds safety in numbers.
Exactly.
And according to the Smart Target Digital Guide, this is how AI platforms establish what they call consensus knowledge.
Yes, consensus knowledge. That's the holy grail now.
They prioritize this consistency specifically to avoid hallucinations.
Yeah.
Like if 5 highly trusted websites all echo the exact same framework for, say, how to properly calibrate a 3D printer.
The AI validates that framework. It locks it in as the definitive answer.
And this is where that whole concept of EEAT comes into play heavily, right?
Oh, absolutely. Experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. We hear that acronym thrown around constantly in SEO circles.
All the time. But we really need to look at how a machine actually measures something as abstract as trust. Like, how does an algorithm know someone has experience? It's not like the AI can read a resume and call your professional references.
No, it measures it through proxy signals,
Yeah.
and backlinks are the strongest proxy available.
Okay, break that down for me.
So to an AI, trustworthiness isn't an emotion, obviously.
Yeah.
It's a web of connections in what we call a knowledge graph.
A knowledge graph.
Yeah. A knowledge graph is essentially a massive invisible map of entities, people, places, concepts, and brands, and the relationships between all of them.
Okay, I'm visualizing a giant web.
Perfect. So when a high authority site links to you, it draws a thick, bold line between their established, trusted node on that map and your newly forming node.
Oh, wow. So a strong foundation of high-quality backlinks essentially vouches for you.
Precisely. It tells the AI's pattern matching system, hey, this entity is authoritative. It is safe to trust and safe to reuse their content.
You know, the guide brings up Shopify and Printful as prime examples of this phenomenon in action.
They are the perfect case study for this.
Right. Like, if you ask an AI about starting an e-commerce business, those two brands absolutely dominate the answers.
Every single time.
And they didn't get there by hacking a ChatGPT prompt or, stuffing keywords into a hidden meta tag.
No, those tricks don't work anymore.
They earned their place because they consistently acquire high-quality links. They publish incredibly dense content, and they get cited by everyone from Forbes to independent bloggers.
They've built a massive wall of consensus knowledge around their brands.
Exactly. So an AI practically has no choice but to use them as the definitive, safe source.
They move from being just a destination website to becoming the underlying source material for the entire internet's understanding of e-commerce.
That is a huge distinction.
It really is. Traditional SEO was about using links to win a popularity contest on a single results page. Modern AI search requires you to use backlinks to become a highly visible, deeply embedded, citable part of the global information ecosystem.
Okay, understanding that theory is great. Grasping the philosophy of consensus and redundancy really changes how we look at the internet.
It does.
But how do you, the listener, actually execute on this? Like, how do you format your specific ideas so the AI picks you out of the crowd to be that underlying source material?
Well, it requires abandoning a lot of old habits, frankly, and adopting a modernized strategy playbook designed specifically for machine reading.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the Smart Target Guide doesn't just leave us with the theory.
No, it gives a great roadmap.
A highly actionable roadmap for engineering this consensus from scratch. And the very first requirement is the structural formatting of your content. You have to create what they call citable content.
Right. Because structure is no longer just about user experience. It's about algorithmic extraction.
Algorithmic extraction.
Yeah, if an AI is going to pull your answer into its response, you have to make the extraction process frictionless. Your content must be clearly structured and obsessively data-driven.
Okay, let's break down what frictionless extraction actually looks like on a web page. I'm assuming we're talking about moving away from those long, meandering recipe blogs where you have to read a 2,000-word story about someone's grandmother before you get to the ingredients.
Completely. We are done with that.
Thank goodness.
It means breaking your articles down with direct question-based headings.
Okay.
It means providing concise, definitive answers immediately below those headings, usually in bold or bulleted formats, before you expand into the deeper context.
Make it easy to grab.
Exactly. But even more critically, from a technical standpoint, the guide highly recommends implementing structured data, specifically schema markup.
Let's hover on schema markup for a second, because that sounds highly technical to a lot of people. How does that actually function?
Think of schema as a translation layer. When a human reads a page, they use visual cues, font size, spacing, bold text, to understand what the main point is, or what the author's name is, or what the price of a product is.
Right, our brains just naturally parse the design.
But an AI scraper just sees an ocean of HTML code. It doesn't see the design.
Oh, right.
So schema markup is a standardized vocabulary of tags that you add to your code. It explicitly tells the machine, hey, this specific string of text is a frequently asked question. This specific number is a review rating. It removes all the guesswork.
So you're basically handing the AI a perfectly formatted, color-coded index card instead of tossing a messy, handwritten notebook onto its desk.
No, those are useless now. If you are writing an article about, say, supply chain logistics, you can't just skim the surface and define the term.
Right.
You have to cover related concepts, adjacent entities, and potential challenges naturally within the text. You have to prove to the algorithm that you possess full command of the topic's ecosystem.
And the guide points out a fascinating caveat to this. To build that crucial consensus we talked about earlier, your core messaging actually has to align with trusted information that is already online.
Yes.
You have to speak the same fundamental language as the established nodes in the knowledge graph.
That is a critical nuance, and people mess this up a lot.
Really? How so?
Well, if you publish a piece of content that contradicts the entire established knowledge base of your industry, and you do so without overwhelming verified proof, the AI's consensus mechanism is going to flag you.
Oh, wow.
It relies on finding patterns of agreement. If you are a wild anomaly, the AI filters you out as an unreliable source. It does that to prevent hallucinating false information to the user.
That is wild to think about. You have to anchor your new ideas to the bedrock of what the AI already accepts as truth, or it just rejects you.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say you've written this incredibly deep, schema-marked, clearly structured, citable piece of content.
A total masterpiece.
It's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
But we know from the earlier discussion that we need redundancy. We need that juicy gossip to spread to the gym and to your mom.
Right.
You can't just publish the masterpiece, sit back, and pray that redundancy magically happens on its own.
You really can't. You have to force the distribution. You have to manually engineer the echoes.
And the guide outlines a really aggressive, specific strategy for this. You take that one core idea, your perfectly structured index card, and you systematically shatter it into pieces and repurpose it across the web.
Yes, omni-channel distribution.
Right. So you publish the core data as a comprehensive blog post on your site. Then you extract the 3 most compelling insights and turn them into a series of text-heavy LinkedIn updates. You take the raw statistics and format them into a formal press release distributed over wire services. You write guest posts for industry publications where you teach the exact same framework. You are purposefully seeding that redundancy yourself.
And this is exactly where traditional link building merges with AI optimization.
Yeah.
Earning high-quality backlinks from niche-relevant sites in industry publications is the fuel that forces your engineered distribution to catch fire.
So it accelerates the spread.
Massively. When a major publication links to your core idea or accepts your guest post, it gets scraped by news aggregators, it gets featured in those Friday roundups, and the spread becomes exponential.
I want to dig into how the AI actually connects all those repurposed pieces together, though.
Sure.
Like if I post a snippet on LinkedIn and I write a blog post on my website, how does the AI know it's the same idea, reinforcing the same consensus?
That's the magic of entity recognition.
The guide explicitly mentions that AI recognizes brand mentions and entities, not just URLs.
Yes, and this completely changes how we define the value of a link.
How so?
Well, think about the old days of traditional SEO. If a massive news site mentioned your company name or referenced your specific framework, but they didn't actually hyperlink the text back to your website.
Oh, SEO professionals considered it a complete failure.
Exactly. A no-follow link or an unlinked brand mention offered 0 domain authority value. It was practically useless for ranking.
The dreaded unlinked mention. You'd be emailing editors begging them to just add the hyperlink.
Oh yeah, we'll do that. But in the AI era, consistency across channels builds trust, regardless of the hyperlink.
Wait, really?
Yes, AI is incredibly sophisticated at entity recognition now. Like we discussed with the knowledge graph, it knows who you are. Your brand is a specific node. Your unique concept or framework is a node.
So when your brand or your specific, uniquely named concept is mentioned across 20 high-authority channels, like a podcast transcript, a LinkedIn post, a Wire press release, even without a direct hyperlink pointing to your homepage, the AI connects those dots.
It connects the nodes. Every single unlinked mention is a data point added to your digital fingerprint's credibility score.
That is huge.
It is. The AI recognizes your entity as the originator and authoritative source of that consensus knowledge. The hyperlink is still helpful for driving human traffic, obviously, but the machine just needs the linguistic connection.
So what does this all mean for us if we synthesize everything Alexander Robinson III is trying to teach us here?
Yeah, let's bring it together.
Traditional SEO was about optimizing your keywords so you could win a numbers game and rank #1 on a static list. AI, SEO, AEO is about optimizing your meaning, your structure, and your intent so you can be cited as the underlying truth in the answers themselves.
That is the ultimate takeaway. Anyone claiming that backlinks are dead simply doesn't understand the mechanics of machine learning.
They are far from dead.
Very far. They've just evolved into a much more sophisticated role. They are no longer the direct grading rubric for your website. They are the engine behind your visibility, your distribution, and your ultimate authority.
You build backlinks to amplify your content, and you build authority to become the source the AI trusts implicitly.
That is the formula for the next decade of the internet.
The formula for survival, really.
Truly, the businesses and creators who win in 2026 and beyond aren't going to be the ones chasing an arbitrary domain authority score on a third-party tool.
Right.
They are going to be the ones who understand that artificial intelligence rewards clarity, consistency, and credibility above all else. They will use backlinks strategically to inject their highly structured, citable content into the broader information ecosystem until it crosses that threshold and becomes undeniable consensus knowledge.
It's all about becoming undeniable.
Exactly.
Looking at all of this together, the absolute necessity of content redundancy, the way an AI actively filters out anomalies to avoid hallucinations, this whole meticulously engineered playbook for creating consensus, it actually leaves me with a pretty massive, slightly terrifying question.
Okay, color me intrigued. Where are you going with this?
Well, it's something the Smart Target Guide doesn't explicitly answer, but it's been sitting in the back of my mind this whole time.
Lay it on me.
Think about the philosophical implications of this tech. If these AI systems are now the primary way human beings find answers to their questions.
Which they are.
Right. And those systems are entirely dependent on consensus knowledge and widespread content redundancy to decide what is true. What happens to a genuinely groundbreaking, contrarian idea?
Oh, wow. That is a profound vulnerability in this system.
Right. Like, imagine a scientific discovery that completely upends our current understanding of physics, or a wildly disruptive, paradigm-shifting way of looking at economics.
Something totally new.
By definition, a new disruptive idea hasn't earned a massive backlink profile yet. It hasn't been repurposed into 1,000 LinkedIn posts.
It has no redundancy.
None. It hasn't achieved widespread repetition. It isn't consensus. It is a rebellion against the consensus.
It's the ultimate double-edged sword of relying on the aggregated wisdom of the crowd to train a machine. You optimize for safety, but you potentially filter out genius.
Exactly. If an AI is structurally designed to only trust what is already widely agreed upon by the existing nodes in its knowledge graph, will these platforms simply ignore the actual groundbreaking truth just because it hasn't achieved redundancy yet?
It's a scary thought.
It really makes you wonder how we as creators, thinkers, and consumers of information can protect and elevate original thought in a technological system that is literally built to reward echo chambers.
It's a huge challenge.
Maybe mastering this new landscape isn't just about figuring out how to get the machine to repeat your ideas. Maybe it's about figuring out how to force a machine built for consensus to recognize a revolution.
Now that is something to think about.
Something to chew on as you navigate this entirely new web. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.